In the previous episode of the Pokemon anime story, we saw Ash's adventures in the Orange Islands region. Now Mystic Ash and Brock are on their way to New Bark Town to join the Johto League, but get lost in a fog-shrouded forest. There they see a rare sight of Suicune, but he flees when he spots Ash. He finally arrives in New Bark Town and runs to the Pokemon Center to sign up for the Johto League. Our friends are exploring a forest when they come across a group of Heracrows drinking the sap from a tree. A Pokemon Ranger named Woodruff warns Ash not to catch the Heracross as they play a key role in providing food for the Butterfree of the forest. However, the balance of the forest is soon disturbed by a group of pincers who frighten the Butterfrees and start eating the sap themselves. But they soon discover that the source of the imbalance is Team Rocket, who are bottling the sap from the pincers' trees to sell. After a battle with a pincer robot, the Heracross will decide to join Ash's team and the first Pokemon he catches in Johto's area. Our friends arrive at a large mansion in the Palm Hills and are greeted there by 3 butlers who are looking for something. While Team Rocket is trying to rob the mansion, they meet Snubbull and Butler, and eventually Snubbull will start following Team Rocket as he is attracted by Meow's tail. Then Ash and his friends come across the chickadee sunning itself in a field. Ash tries to catch him with Bulbasaur, but Chikorita proves to be too tough an opponent and chases away Ash's Pokemon. Team Rocket steals Chikorita and Ash chases after them and rescues her. Chikorita will join Ash's Pokemon team as she saw that he really cared for her. Our party arrives in Violet City and there they will meet Faulkner, the leader of the city's gym. After helping our heroes save Pikachu from Team Rocket, Ash and Faulkner will agree to do a battle for the Zephyr Badge. Faulkner starts with Hoot Hoot and Ash chooses Chikorita, who will lose to Hoot Hoot's attacks. Ash then chooses Pikachu, who manages to defeat Hoot Hoot and Faulkner's daughter, but loses to his mighty Pidgeot. In the final battle, Ash will choose Charizard, but due to his injured wing, he has a hard time fighting against Pidgeot's agility and fast attacks. But Ash and Charizard refuse to give up, and eventually Charizard will be able to fly again. Ash finds the solution and tells Charizard to use a Fire Spin, which creates a whirlwind of fire, making it difficult for Pidgeot to attack, and then uses a flamethrower and defeats the Pidgeot, giving Ash the victory and the Zephyr Badge. Ash learns that the next gym is in Azalea Town, and decides to go there since he could also deliver the GS Ball to Kurt. As they continue their journey, our friends meet a girl named Lisa who is revealed to be a Charizard trainer. And he invites Ash to Terrific Valley, a well-known Charizard habitat that is protected from hunters. Inside the valley, they see many huge Charizard, and Ash's Charizard challenges him to a battle but loses to many of them. However, Charizard remains determined to fight, and continues to improve even after a very rough night and the Rocket team beating him. It helps to stay focused. Charizard will be accepted and stays in the valley to grow stronger. Ash leaves Charizard with a very difficult goodbye, and our heroes continue their journey to Azalea Town. Shortly after, our friends meet a tall child which warns them to stay away from the Cyndaquils, but Ash is looking anyway for one of them. And a little later he finds a Cyndaquil in a cave, but is confronted by the very kid who wants to catch them. Ash ends up catching the Cyndaquil, but the kid from earlier challenges Ash to a Pokemon battle for the ownership of Cyndaquil. The battle is fierce, but in the end, Ash's Cyndaquil comes out victorious, and Ash will finally add Cyndaquil to his team. So our friends arrive in Azalea and visit Kurt's house, who is an expert in making Pokeballs from Apricorn's ash. The mystic Brock and Kurt's granddaughter, Maisie, will go to the hills behind the house to find apricorns and bring them back to Kurt to use them to make Pokeballs. There they will meet a group of gunners who try to steal the apricorns to get rich. So after another adventure with these villains, our heroes find the apricorn trees, including blue for lure balls and brown for heavy balls. Brocco manages to catch a fastball along the way, and Kurt promises to look more into the GS Ball in the future, so the GS Ball will stay with Kurt to study, and here to say we will never see her again, making GS Ball one of the biggest mysteries in the world of Pokemon anime. Azalea's gym is in the shape of a large dome, and the gym leader Baxi specializes in bug-type Pokemon. The first round in their battle is between Cyndaquil and Spinarak. Ash is initially confident in his abilities, Cyndaquil being a fire-type Pokemon, but soon realizes that Spinarak's String Shot attack is a terrible. Defense Cyndaquil eventually gets caught in Spinarak's web, leaving it unable to attack Ash. There summons Cyndaquil and sends out Chikorita, who defeats Spinarak, and in the second round, Bakshi sends a Metapod. And despite the best efforts that Chikorita is defeated by the tackle move. Ash then brings in Bikatsu, who uses his agility and hearing to avoid Metapod's attacks and finally wins with a Thunderbolt. Impressed by Ash's performance, Bakshi holds the strongest Pokemon, the Scyther, for the final round. Ash anticipates Scyther's next move and attacks with Cyndaquil from above with a flamethrower, weakening the Scyther enough to finish it off with a tackle. Bakshi is impressed by Ash and awards it the Hive Badge, and they agree to have a rematch the next time Ash comes through town. Before Ash and his friends leave the Azalea, Kurt's granddaughter calls them to give them new Pokeballs, a Lure Ball for Ash and Misty, and a Heavy Ball for Brock made from the apricots they had collected for Kurt. Our friends are in a seaside town. And there they meet a boy named Benny. He trains his Wombuffet to take part in the Pokemon Swap Meet, an annual event where trainers trade their Pokemon. There James meets the same citizen who sold him a Magikarp before, and Jessie accidentally trades her Pokeball with Benny's Wombuffet. Ash and his friends stop at an arena and see a poster for the Fire and Rescue Grand Prix, a firefighting contest for Water-type Pokemon. There they will meet Captain Aiden, who is the leader of the Watertail team, who are last year's champions. They will also meet the Squirtle Squad, which Police Officer Jenny apologizes to. The Squirtle Squad struggles to keep up, but with the help of Ash's Squirtle's leadership they manage to win, and soon the competition ends with the Squirtle Squad victorious. And there Ash decides to leave Squirtle to rejoin the team as their leader. Ash, Misty, and Brock are sitting by a river fishing for Pokemon, but then a Totodile pops out of the water and Ash and Misty compete to catch it. Brock decides to settle the dispute with a Pokemon battle. Bulbasaur versus Misty's Poliwag. The two Pokemon use matching attacks. However, Poliwag suddenly evolves into Poliwag and gets the upper hand. In the end though, Bulbasaur will win the battle using the Solar Beam attack for the first time. Totodile after the battle therefore chooses Nash, and Misty agrees with the decision. Ash officially adds Totodile to his team, replacing the loss of Squirtle. The children will continue their way through a dark forest where they encounter a Noctowl, the evolved form of Hoot Hoot. This Noctowl has a different color and is much smarter than usual. After a battle with Team Rocket, Ash will successfully catch Shiny Noctowl with the help of Pikachu, and our hero will once again have 6 Pokemon in his team. This is where the third Pokemon movie, The Spell of the Unknown, will take place. Above these facts of the film, maybe we will discuss in another video. Ash then arrives at Golden Road City, the largest city in Johto's area. There he hears about a gym leader named Whitney, and decides to challenge her for his next emblem. Ash battles Whitney in her milk tank, but despite a good fight, Ash loses the battle and feels discouraged. So he decides to train really hard and come back stronger for a rematch with Whitney. The battle is intense with both trainers using their strongest Pokemon. With the battle won, Ash received the playing badge symbolizing his victory over Whitney and his progress as a Pokemon trainer. A little later, Brock's Zubat will evolve into a Golbat. At the same time, Snubbull, who follows Team Rocket, evolves into Granbull, and after too long following Team Rocket, returns to her original trainer, Madame Muchmoney. Soon we will have the events of the Mew Returns movie, which we will discuss in another video, and now Ash and his friends will come across a tall tower. They will come across a room full of ghost Pokemon. While after a while, trainer of these ghosts, Morty, appears and explains about the tower and Ho-Oh, the ancient Pokemon that was worshipped over there until a group of thieves became... He burned down the old tower and left. It is there that we first hear the story of the birth of Johto's 3 female dogs. The townspeople built a new tower in hopes of his return, but it never worked. Ash and his friends say goodbye to Morty and Jagger and rendezvous at the Secure Tech gym for their battle. Our friends arrive at the Pokemon Center of Secretech, where Ash is preparing for battle. Nurse Joy tells Ash that he might have a chance against Morty's deadly Jagger, as he has a Noctool, which has the ability to use the Foresight attack and reveal Ghost-type Pokemon to use normal-type attacks against them. The battle will be a 3-on-3 matchup, with Ash starting with his Noctool against Morty's Gastly. Noctool will use Hypnosis and Foresight, but Gastly is very fast and dodges every attack. Noctool is eventually hit by a Gastly lick, and Ash will call him back by sending Pikachu. But Gastly dodges all of Pikachu's attacks and uses Nightshade, hitting him and winning the battle. Ash's next Pokemon will be a Cyndaquil, which will dodge Gastly's attacks, and with a quick attack caught as the Noctool had Foresight earlier, Gastly will fall. Morty will choose Honder, which will defeat Cyndaquil, and now Ash is left with one Pokemon, Noctool. The Noctool will defeat Morty's Honder, and he will drop his Naso, the Gengar. The Gengar shows off its awesome power, but the Noctool will hold on and reveal the Gengar with the help of Foresight, and with a very strong takedown, the Noctool will win the battle. So Morty is impressed and awards Ash with the Fog Badge. The group learns of a sumo competition again, and Ash decides to enter with his Snorlax, which has gotten even bigger than the last time we saw it. Gonus is between Ferali Guthor and Snorlax, with Snorlax emerging victorious after a long battle. Snorlax gets his favorite Pokemon food prize, while Ash gets a King's Rock and sends Snorlax back to Professor Oak, taking back his Noctool. Shortly after, Brock's Golbat will evolve into Crobat, and soon our friends arrive at a wind power plant where they decide to rest for a while. Of course, their Team Rocket has another plan to steal the Pokemon, but our heroes will rush to stop them. Chikorita evolves into Bayleaf and uses her new power to break the cage and defeat Team Rocket with the help of Electabuzz and Pikachu. Then we will have the events of my favorite Pokemon movie, Pokemon Forever with Celebi, but okay, the events, as we said, we will discuss them in another video. Ash and his friends have finally arrived in Olive City and quickly head to the gym to challenge their leader, Jasmine. When they get there, a girl named Janina appears claiming to be Jasmine and challenges Ash to a Pokemon battle. Janina's Onix is covered with wax, making it impervious to water. However, the real Jasmine arrives and stops the fight by scolding Janina for using the wax on her Onix. Ash is unable to challenge Jasmine to a battle as she has other things to attend to, as at the town's lighthouse, the source of light, and Amphora is sick and tries to help it. Ash offers to go fetch the medicine from the city of Xiangud, which has a well-known pharmacy, and so they start the journey with a new destination. They will quickly reach the apothecary, and the apothecary will give Janina the medicine to cure the Amphoris. Ash and his friends, however, learn that Chuck and his Machop are in the Xiangud gym waiting for new trainers. In the battle, Chuck will use Poliwrath, and Ash will use Pikachu first. Pikachu will lose to Poliwrath, so Ash will choose Bayleaf to face it. After a long battle, the Bayleaf will defeat the Poliwrath, and Chuck will send his Naso, the Matsock. Bayleaf will manage to defeat both Chuck's Matsock with Razor Leaf and Vine Whip, and Ash will beat Stormbunch. Now on the Whirl Islands, Misty knows that there are a lot of water-type Pokemon there, and Brock naturally hopes that there will be a lot of cute girls waiting for him on the islands. After the adventures of our friends at sea, they will meet Professor Elm, who offers to take them to the World Cup League. At the Pokemon Center, the professor explains about the World Cup, which consists of 5 islands, each with 1 to 2 gyms. Misty will manage to catch a sled, but guys, since the World Island story could be an episode in itself, I'm going to take you straight to the World Championship Finals, where Ast will battle Misty in the second round. Misty will defeat Ast, but she will also compete in the next one. However, one notable fact to mention is that our friends encountered a Lugia, as well as his baby that Team Rocket had stolen. I know what you're going to say, because Lugia, who is a legendary Pokemon, has a baby. Guys, I don't know if I'm logic. Ast and his friends return to Olivine City after their World Islands adventures, with Ast and Jasmine having a battle to fight. So it's 2-on-2 with Magnemite and Steelix taking on Pikachu and Cyndaquil. Pikachu fights against the Magnemite, and eventually with a quick attack will take it down. Steelix keeps defeating Pikachu, but Ast's Cyndaquil puts up a tough fight using Smokescreen to avoid Steelix's attacks and attack. In the end, Cyndaquil wins the battle for Ast by turning the sandstorm created by Steelix into an all-powerful flaming vortex, and Ast wins the Mineral Badge, and the group sets off for their next destination, Mahogany City. At the same time, in Professor Oak's laboratory, the Pokemon that reside there have started to fight. Ash then sends out Bulbasaur, who tries to get the Pokemon to cooperate. Bulbasaur will stay in the lab to help keep things under control and solve the upcoming conflicts if needed. Aast, Misty, and Brock rest on Pokemon Secretech Center when they hear a strange noise coming from outside. There they see Osokoma Joy and Chansey running, and to say that something is wrong with the Tin Tower. Morty and Yusin go to investigate and find that the golden bells that were supposed to be there are missing. Team Rocket, of course, seem to be the thieves as usual, as they think that when the bells ring, they will be called and they will be able to catch hold of Ho-Oh. As they try to ring the bells, one of them slips from Jesse's hands and breaks on a rock, and this will lead to a strange wind blowing and an eerie silence spreading over the city. From a window, Ash sees that the entire city is covered in webs. Morty tries to find the bells, and suddenly the Suicune appears and scares the wild Pokemon, causing the webs to disappear. And then the Suicune disappears. Ash then manages to beat Gary and the other contestants in a speed race and receives a Pokemon egg, which soon hatches into a baby Phanpy. As they travel to Mahogany City, they encounter some sick Pokemon as well as Togepi and Pikachu. So they arrive at the Lake of Wrath and meet a red Gyarados there. The gun team attacks, but is defeated by Lance, the strongest member of Kanto's Elite Four, who arrives with Dragonite. Our heroes try to help the red Gyarados, but are captured by Tatsumi and Professor Shiranui. The professor reveals to them the purpose of Project R, which involves capturing the red Gyarados for a secret project. Shiranui, who has researched the red Gyarados, believes that it will make his lab famous and bring him great wealth. Meanwhile, Lance sees the policewoman and informs her of the situation. Lance helps Ash and his friends sneak into the secret engine room, and Dragonite destroys the mechanism that enrages and sickens all the Pokemon with a Hyper Beam. The red Gyarados, however, continues to destroy everything in its path, and Ash tries to talk to him but fails. Lance suggests using Dragonite to stop it, but our friends don't want to cause him more pain. They finally succeed, and the red beast calms down. Our friends now visit the Mahogany Gym, where they challenge the gym leader to a Pokemon battle. The battle between Ash and Pryce begins with Ash using Cyndaquil against Pryce's Dugong. After a series of attacks and strategies, Ash finally wins the first round by hitting Dugong with a flamethrower, and then Pryce will send out his Piloswine for the second round. Pikachu struggles against Icy Wind and Piloswine's Fury attack. But of course, Ash has an unorthodox strategy up his sleeve. Pikachu uses agility to run towards the frozen mountains and avoid Piloswine's attacks, and eventually Pikachu grabs Piloswine and hits it with a powerful electroshock, causing an explosion that will deal a lot of damage. Pryce decides to join the battle, stating that he is impressed by Ash's abilities and not wanting to further harm Piloswine by giving the Glacier Badge to Ash, his 7th emblem. A little later, Ash will transform into Pikachu, but for a very short time, and Misty's Poliwhirl used the King's Rock that Ash had won with Snorlax to evolve into Toad City. Our party is now on the road to the town of Blackthorn, and there they encounter a Dratini sleeping by a river. Before Ash can catch it, an elk comes out of the river and attacks. Claire steps in to solve the problem and explains that the Dratini is on a trip and the elk is there to protect it. Claire is the leader of the town's gym, and that she is on a journey to get a blessing for the Dratini. During the meal, Ash informs Claire that he wants to challenge her to a battle in the gym, and after another failed attempt to steal Pikachu and Dragonair from Team Rocket, the Dragonair evolves into Dragonair and creates a storm where it destroys Team Rocket and sends her into the skies. Ash and Claire are surprised to see Charizard and Lissa, a childhood friend of Claire's, in the area. Lissa explains that Charizard stayed to train in Sherific Valley and is quite close with Charla now. After a great adventure to restore the Sacred Flame, Ash is ready to defeat the final gym, and Charizard wants to help him win it. And since he's there anyway, Ash could definitely use a little more power. It would be a 3-on-3 match with no time limit. Ash started with Snorlax while Claire started with Kingdra. Despite Kingdra's goodwill, Snorlax managed to withstand his attacks and eventually hit it with an Ice Punch. Claire would then send out Gyarados, who was able to wear down Snorlax with a series of dragon breaths before hitting it with a hyper beam. Ash will now choose Pikachu, who managed to avoid Gyarados' attacks, and with his good fortune will defeat him. But eventually he too will be countered in turn by Dragonair's hyper beam. Ash will then take out Charizard, who will be able to defeat Dragonair with a combo of Confused and Fire Spin. In the end, Claire will reward Ash, who gave her the best fight ever, and give him the Rising Badge, Ash's final emblem for the Johto League. Charizard will return to the valley to continue his training, and Ash's next and final destination will be the Johto League Silver Conference, which will be held at the foot of Silver Mountain in 3 months. During these 3 months, Ash will train his Pokemon very hard. Brock's Cup will evolve into Robes, and our friends will see an Entei. At last, the ceremony of the Silver Tournament begins with a Roman bringing the sacred flame of How Oak onto the field. Harrison, a trainer who helped our friends physically take down Team Rocket with his Blaziken, says he'll be at the tournament and can't wait to see Ash over there. In the first round of qualifiers, Ash is going to fight a girl named Macy. The tournament uses a victory point system where 3 points are awarded for each win, 0 for Aita, and 1 for each tie. The night before their official battle, Ash uses a computer to research Macy and reveals that she specializes in Fire-type Pokemon. He decides to use his 2 Water-type Pokemon, Kingler and Totodile, for the battle. However, Kingler is severely injured and unable to participate, leaving only Totodile as Ash's choice. But just then, Officer Jenny arrives with Ash's Squirtle, who has been training hard with the Squirtle squad and has become much stronger. The battle started with Macy sending her Slam and Ash countering with his Totodile. Despite Slagma using double team to avoid Totodile's attacks, Totodile was eventually able to hit it with a water gun and deal significant damage. Macy then switches Barrier for Electabuzz, but Ash was prepared and sent Fun P. Despite Electabuzz Thunderbolt having no effect on Fun P, Macy will cast Slag again, which is quickly obliterated by Fun P's Earthquake and Rollout combo. Macy then sent out her Kilava, which managed to defeat Fun P, then cast Electabuzz again to defeat Totodile. With Totodile and Fun P honored, Ash has no choice but to send out Squirtle. Squirtle was able to counter Electabuzz Thunder Punch with a powerful water gun and defeated the electric Pokemon with a Skull Bash. Eventually, Ash and Squirtle faced Macy's Kilava. In the end, Ash emerged victorious, earning the admiration of Macy, who congratulates him on his victory. And that's how Ash and Jackson's match on the field begins. Azumarill uses Icy Wind to slow down Pikachu, but Pikachu eventually wins with a Thunderbolt. Jackson then sends out a shiny Magneton, which has much higher stats than usual. Despite Pikachu's attacks, Magneton beats him with a Thunder Wave and a 3 attack, and then Cyndaquil is also hit by Magneton's same attacks. In the end, it all comes down to Bulbasaur defeating Magneton and now facing Meganium. And finally, after both Pokemon use the Solar Beam attack, the beams will collide, creating a large explosion. Once the smoke clears, both Pokemon will fall at the same time, making the battle a draw. Which means Ash has enough points to continue on to the next stage of the championship. We immediately cut to Ash and Gary arguing over who is the best trainer. They start talking about a tie from the past that caused them to each get half a Pokeball. Charizard arrives just in time for the battle, as he was sent by Lisa from Charizard Valley, and Professor Oak and Ash's mom also show up to watch the battle. The final battle of the 2 centuries begins with Gary casting Nidoqueen. Ash chooses Taurus to fight, but Nidoqueen will easily hit it with a Hyper Beam, and Gary will win the first round. Ash then brings out Heracross to counter Gary's Pokemon, but he switches to Magmar. The battle between Heracross and Magmar is very difficult, but Heracross, despite the type disadvantage it has, eventually wins. Gary's next Pokemon is Asus. His Blastoise. Heracross starts with a Horn Tack, but Blastoise counters with a Hydro Pump so powerful that it breaks the rock behind Heracross and defeats it. Asta's next Pokemon is Mac, but Blastoise quickly hits it with a Hydro Pump and weakens it, and Asta pulls it back before it takes more damage. Continuation, guys. He has the Bailiff, but that too is defeated by Blastoise with a powerful Hydro Pump and a treat to his card. Here there will be a 5-minute break as Asta has lost 3 Pokemon, and after the break, Asta sends Snorlax to fight Gary's Arcanine. However, Snorlax will win relatively easily with a Hyper Beam. And Gary's next Pokemon is Nidoqueen, which will also lose to Snorlax with an Ice Punch. Gary now sends out his Caesar, which will defeat the Snorlax with a Metal Claw and Swift Attack before it can take enough damage. Caesar will also manage to take down Ash's already injured Mac despite his elastic body, and now Ash's last Pokemon is Charizard, which defeats Caesar and then Gary's Golem, and now the final battle will be Charizard Ashes against Gary's Blastoise. Despite Blastoise's repeated attempts to attack Charizard with Skull Bash and Hydro Pump, Charizard remains agile and dodges all attacks. Ash then strategizes by having Charizard target the rocks in the arena, which causes them to melt and turn the field into lava. Blastoise uses Hydro Pump to heat up the field, creating a cloud of steam, and both Pokemon are now weakened, and Charizard, in an amazing melee, a Dragon Rage and his signature move, Fusion, will defeat Blastoise and give to Ash in the first round of the finals against his greatest rival, Gary. Later that night, Gary sits pensively by a lake and Ash comes to meet him. He asks him how it's going, and to his surprise, Gary gives him half of the Pokemon from before, as a token that he finally managed to get better than him. He then congratulates Ash on his great battle and tells him that he is not ashamed of his defeat. Ash thanks him, they shake hands, and promise each other to be friends no matter who is a better trainer. Ash and Harrison are now ready to battle it out in the Silver Conference semi-final. Ash chooses to use Pikachu, while Harrison brings out Kiclean, a Pokemon from the Hoenn region. So the Cyclean has the ability to disappear, making it difficult for Pikachu to find it, and finally wins the round by grabbing Kicleon's tongue and using a very powerful Thunderbolt. Next turn, Harrison uses Sneasel and Pikachu starts with a Thunderbolt. Sneasel, with its high speed, avoids the attack and uses a Metal Claw, knocking out Pikachu. Ash chooses his next Pokemon, Totodile, next. Totodile starts with a Water Gun, but Sneasel easily dodges his attacks. However, Totodile quickly bites Sneasel's hand and uses an Iron Tail, defeating it. Harrison's next Pokemon is Hypno, a powerful sack of Psychic-type Pokemon. Ku then uses the Sleep Attack to put the Totentail to sleep and finish it off. Ash then takes out his mighty Snorlax, who for some reason is already sleeping, and Harrison will use the Dream Eater attack, causing Snorlax to lose his dream and wake up enraged, and using a Hyper Beam he hits the sleeper and knocks him out. After the break, Ash takes out the Noctowl and Harrison takes out the Steelix. The Noctowl starts with a confusion, but Steelix digs into the ground and pops up, hitting the Noctowl. Ash will again use Snorlax, which uses the Hyper Beam attack, but Steelix's powerful jaws will stop it. However, he will manage to use an Ice Punch to freeze it and finally defeat Steelix with another Hyper Beam. Harrison will then send out the Houndoom, which will defeat the Snorlax with the counterattack, and Ash will drop the Bailiff, which surprises everyone. However, Ash manages to defeat the Houndoom by shutting its mouth and preventing it from using a flamethrower. Harrison's last Pokemon will be the mighty Blaziken, which will quickly defeat the Bailiff, and the final battle is now between Charizard and Blaziken. The two Pokemon, after a series of very powerful attacks, seem to take equal damage. At some point, both seem to have fainted, but soon manage to get up and continue the battle. Despite Charizard's efforts, Blaziken eventually comes out on top and is declared the winner. Ash accepts his defeat calmly and congratulates Harrison, while the audience applauds and also congratulates Ash on his skills as a trainer. After the championship is over for Ash, he decides to leave Squirtle with Officer Jenny for more training. Ash, Gary, and Harrison are about to break up. Harrison wants to explore all the areas that exist in the Pokemon world, while Gary decides to leave battles and become a Pokemon researcher with the goal of one day surpassing his grandfather. And Ash, of course, keeps the promise he made to himself when he started his journey to one day become a Pokemon master. As our friends return back to Kanto, Misty's sisters will make her the gym leader of Aurelian City. And here, guys, is the difficult point where the paths of our heroes will part. Ash returns to Ballet Town and briefly meets Gary, who is leaving on a new journey to become a Pokemon researcher. and soon he himself sees how oak again for the second time in the sky, a sign of good fortune for our hero's future. Ash will decide to leave all his Pokémon except Pikachu in Professor Oak's lab. He gets new clothes from his mother, and a new Pokédex from the professor, and now excited by Harrison's words about Hoenn's area, he heads to the town of Little Root. As our hero has started his journey together with Pikachu's trusty Hoenn, he will become very sick. Will Pikachu be okay? Will Ash manage to reach Hoenn's territory? We will learn this and more in the next episode as the story continues.